This video is brought to you by SoccerPro.com, offering everyday low prices on all the latest soccer gear with no membership fees. Don't forget to use coupon code SR4U at checkout for 10% off any order of $75 or more. Hey guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com bringing you a comparison video today between the Nike Tiempo Legend 4 and the Nike Premier. These are two shoes that are very similar in terms of their styling, but actually a lot different in how they feel, which is hopefully what I'm going to differentiate for you in today's video, because I know a lot of people are trying to make the decision between the Nike Premier and the Legend 4. Just to let you guys know, the full written reviews for both of these models have already been posted on my website, SoccerReviewsForYou.com, and you can find links to both review pages down below in the description. These full written reviews are going to give you more information as to how these shoes fit, feel, and perform, so if you are looking to order either of these two pairs, I strongly recommend checking out both of those reviews. So without further ado, we'll get right into the comparison. The main attraction for both the Nike Premier and the Legend is definitely the kangaroo leather uppers that both of these shoes feature. Now to start off with the Nike Premier, it more specifically is called Premier Leather, which is essentially code name for kangaroo leather. And I know a lot of places publish that this was made from goat leather, but I have actually spoken directly with Nike asking for clarification as to what the leather actually is, and they give me the response of kangaroo leather. So no, it is not goat leather, but at the end of the day, does it really matter? No. All that really matters here is that the leather is super soft and super high quality. And in terms of leather soccer shoes that are currently available, the Nike Premier is amongst the top end of things when you are talking about quality. It's just as nice as the Copa Mundial in quality, just as nice as the Tiempo Legend 4, if not nicer in my opinion. And overall, it is just super soft. You can see how pliable and flexible it is from in your hand. It pretty much melts on the shoe, and once you really break the shoe in and it molds to your foot, you get not only a very comfortable feel, but pretty much a perfect wrap of thin kangaroo leather, which offers a fantastic touch on the ball. Very smooth, natural leather finish. There's really nothing that is obstructing your touch. You do have a central lacing system, and the tongue itself is made from a synthetic material as opposed to leather with a memory foam strip down the middle. But for the most part, it just cuts down on the bulk and overall just feels really, really nice. In terms of thickness, the Premier is going to be a little bit thinner in terms of the material itself than what you're going to get from the Tiempo Legend. So you will get a kind of closer touch on the ball, if you will. But in terms of softness, it's really, really tough to beat the Nike Premier, and it really is the standout feature on the boot in my opinion. Now moving on to the Nike Tiempo Legend 4, it uses two different materials, one being natural leather and the other one being a synthetic material. The natural leather here at the front of the shoe, where you do see all the stitching, is actually kangaroo leather. Very, very high quality. Again, a little bit thicker than what you're going to find on the Nike Premier, but still feels very, very good and is going to provide that nice soft touch for you on the ball. The central lacing system, as you guys can see, features, again, a Kanga-like tongue with your memory foam insert running through the middle, and the midfoot area of the boot is made from Kanga-lite as well, just to allow for a more solid feel through the midfoot without the shoe overstretching or anything like that. And you're definitely not going to get as much stretch out of the Tiempo Legend 4 as you will out of the Nike Premier. And in terms of width, you're definitely going to get more width out of the Premier than you will out of the Legend as well. One last thing to touch on when it does come to the uppers themselves. The Legend 4 does feature ACC, at least on the newer models. ACC, which obviously stands for All Conditions Control, acts as somewhat of a wet control element. Basically what it does is it keeps the surface of the upper a little bit more dry when playing in wet conditions, allowing for slightly better friction between your foot and the ball. So it does have somewhat of an effect when playing in wet weather, but for the most part it's not going to make too big of a difference. But overall, the way that I would compare both of these shoes when it comes to touch is this one has a slightly softer, slightly thinner leather upper, whereas this one is a little bit bulkier. And I don't want to call it a bulky shoe, but the leather feels a little bit more plush in my opinion, and you just have a little bit more between your foot and the ball in the Legend than you would out of the Nike Premier. One last thing to touch on when it does come to the thickness and softness of the leather, I definitely would say that the Tiempo Legend feels like a more solid shoe durability-wise than the Nike Premier, just because the leather isn't melting once you start to wear it in. So just keep that in mind. If you are looking for something to last a little bit longer, you're probably going to get a longer lifespan out of the Legend 4 than you will out of the Nike Premier. The stud patterns on both the Premier and the Legend are actually pretty similar to each other. If we start off with the stud pattern of the Tiempo Legend 4, you're going to notice that you get that same classic Tiempo stud pattern that we've come to know and love. It's a proven stud pattern from Nike and it works really, really well. You have your 4 bladed studs in the heel, your 8 conical studs in the forefoot, and your 2 bladed support studs in the middle, all on a TPU plastic sole plate, which provides plenty of flexibility. As far as the performance of the stud pattern itself goes, the conical studs in the forefoot are fairly narrow in their profile, so they penetrate the ground pretty easily, and you can see that they have a decent amount of length to them, so you do get a more aggressive feel in terms of traction from the Legend 4 than you will get from something like the Nike Premier, mainly because the studs aren't quite as long. So plenty of grip at push-off while still maintaining plenty of maneuverability once your foot is planted, and overall a really good performing stud pattern for natural grass playing surfaces. Now moving on to the Nike Premier, one of the things that I know a lot of people are not big fans of are the studs themselves, mainly because you can see they're a little bit shorter than your average modern soccer shoe. And this is kind of going more along the lines of that old school feel that Nike was trying to achieve with the Nike Premier. And personally, I'm a fan of this particular layout. I like the length of the studs. It is definitely something that is worth having if you are playing on harder natural grass playing surfaces. But if you're playing on regular firm ground too, you're still going to get plenty of traction out of this particular stud pattern. So you can see the layout of the studs is pretty much exactly the same as to what you're going to find on the Tiempo Legend 4. In the heel you have your 4 studs, but obviously they are conical as opposed to bladed. You only have 1 bladed support stud in the middle as opposed to 2. And then of course you have your 8 conical studs going across both sides of the forefoot. Overall the stud pattern, like I said, performs really, really well. You still have that thin plastic TPU based sole plate that provides plenty of flexibility. It is a little bit more flexible on the Nike Premier than you'll find on the Tiempo Legend, and overall it just gives a very natural and very comfortable feeling on the Nike Premier, more so than what you'll get from the Tiempo Legend. It just has a more old school feel overall, whereas the Legend has kind of a more of a modern feel about it when you are wearing the shoes on your feet. But overall, in terms of performance, there's not a major difference between the two. It really comes down to preference, but in all honesty, they perform very, very similarly. In terms of weight, there isn't actually a major difference between the Nike Premier and the Tiempo Legend 4, although I would say on feet the Nike Premier does feel a little bit more lightweight, mainly because it does feel a little bit less bulky on your feet, but in terms of actual weight, they're very, very similar. Now I'm going to weigh both of these shoes for you today in real time. Keep in mind that both of the shoes on the table are in used condition and are both the exact same size. So to start off, we'll throw the Tiempo Legend on the scale first, and you can see that these guys weigh in at 9 ounces exactly. So relatively lightweight for a shoe that doesn't really have anything that would indicate that this is actually a light shoe. So at 9 ounces, it's about average weight and is going to provide a nice solid feel for you on your feet. So I'll take that off the scale. Throw the Nike Premier there, and you can see that these guys weigh in at 8.7 ounces, so they're 0.3 ounces less than the Tiempo Legend, and in all honesty, both of these shoes feel relatively lightweight on your feet. Like I mentioned earlier, the Premier to me feels just a little bit lighter, but the difference in weight is very, very minimal. 0.3 ounces is next to nothing, so if you're looking for a moderately lightweight shoe, you're going to get that from both the Premier as well as the Tiempo Legend 4. Alright, here's a look at the Tiempo Legend 4 and the Nike Premiers on feet, and both of these shoes are extremely comfortable to wear, almost from right out of the box. Of course, they're both kangaroo leather soccer shoes, so they do require some break-in time until they start to mold and stretch to your feet, but for the most part, you're going to get some really good comfort from both of these shoes. To start off with the Tiempo Legend, it's a shoe that fits more like a modern soccer shoe. It has a predetermined shape from right out of the box. It feels a little bit tighter, and it's not necessarily going to stretch a ton on your foot, even after several hours of break-in time. The majority of the stretching is going to happen in this forefoot and toe box area of the boot, mainly because it is made from natural kangaroo leather. So you will get some pretty decent stretching after about 2 to 3 hours of wear time, and they will feel a lot more comfortable and just mold to your feet really nicely, whereas the midfoot area of the shoe is made from Kangalite, so you won't get nearly as much stretch, if any at all, and it really just keeps its nice tight fit even after break-in time, and once you've got that nice molded feel in the forefoot area of the boot. So a shoe that will fit most foot types, just as long as you don't have an excessively wide foot. Now to move on to the Nike Premier, this definitely has a more old school feel about it, especially in how it fits. It has a tighter feel from right out of the box, but give the shoe about 2 hours or so of wear time, and you'll find that the shoe completely changes shapes and really molds to your foot, giving you that true custom feel once the shoes are broken in, which is absolutely fantastic. It stretches pretty much throughout the entire upper, mainly because it is 100% kangaroo leather all the way through. So through the midfoot, the forefoot, and the toe box area, you will get plenty of stretching. And this is one of those shoes that I really do think will fit pretty much all foot types. They both have a central lacing system, so you have plenty of freedom to adjust the shoe in terms of its tightness, even once the shoe has stretched. And overall, they both have a fantastic fit about them. As far as sizing goes, this is where it is a little bit tricky. The Tiempo Legend runs absolutely true to size. I'm wearing my usual size 9 US here, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect, both before and after break-in time. As far as the Nike Premier goes, I know a lot of people tend to go half size down when it comes to leather shoes, but these actually run a half size small. So instead of wearing a size 9 US, I went up to a 9.5, and again, the fit in the length is absolutely perfect. Wearing a size 9 in this particular shoe is just way too tight, so I definitely recommend going a half size up if you are looking to order, even though the shoe will stretch. Just keep in mind that any leather shoe or a shoe in general is not going to stretch in length, it's only going to stretch in width. So half size up on the Premier, true to size on the Tiempo Legend. So that's pretty much it as far as the on-feet portion of this video goes, and I'll leave you to my final thoughts. You can't compare the Tiempo Legend 4 and the Nike Premier without talking about price. The price of the Nike Premier at a retail level is $100, which is really, really affordable, whereas the Tiempo Legend 4 retails at $160, which isn't expensive, but it's $60 more than the Nike Premier. Keep in mind that you can get both of these shoes for a lot less on my website through the links down below in the description, so go ahead and check those out. But is the $60 price difference justified between both of these two shoes? That's really up to you. With the Nike Premier, you get more of a bare bones style soccer shoe. It's very traditional. Basically one single material on the upper, very kind of simple and minimalist styling, but overall the final product is absolutely fantastic when it comes to performance and feel, whereas the Nike Tiempo Legend is still going to provide that traditional feel for you, but with the modern elements included, with the ACC on the upper, the Kangalite synthetic, and just the overall fit and feel of the shoe. With that being said, which one is my personal favorite? I absolutely love both of these shoes. I'd be happy wearing either shoes. But in my opinion, I like the feel of the Nike Premier just because it has a more comfortable, more flexible, low profile feel about it. And again, this is a preference thing. Some people won't like this. They'll prefer the Legend over the Nike Premier. But my personal preference is definitely the Nike Premier. And if durability is your main concern, then I would probably go for the Tiempo Legend. It just feels a lot more solidly built in my opinion than the Premier. That, like I said, is just more of a bare bones shoe overall. But again, it's the trade-off in price. You pay $60 more for the Legend than you do for the Premier. So at the end of the day, it really is your call. So that's pretty much it as far as my comparison goes, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you did enjoy today's video, be sure to support it with a like. Again, if you would like more information on either of these two shoes, be sure to check out the full written reviews linked down below in the description. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest soccer gear. All of my social media links can also be found down below in the description. And other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.